This podcast is brought to you by Marcus Rodriguez. If you're looking to buy or sell your home in this competitive market and you're not too sure where to start, look no further than Merced's preferred realtor, Marcus Rodriguez. He'll make sure the process goes as easy as possible, and you can reach him at 209-554-1715. Visit his website, www.myagentmarcus.com, or email him, info@myagentmarcus.com. Thanks again, Marcus. This podcast is brought to you by Duffy.murphy. Whether you need studio time, mixing and mastering services, or even someone to clean up that podcast audio, he's your guy. And trust me, because he's my guy. He's the reason this podcast sounds so crisp and clean. So if you want to reach out to him, go reach him at duffy.murphy@yahoo.com. That's his email. Or find him on Instagram at duffymurphy. This podcast is brought to you by Thore. If you're in the Central Valley area and you're looking to get a tattoo, look no further than this dude right here. He's a versatile artist that specializes in black and gray realism. He's located in Merced at the Merced Tattoo and Piercing Company, and if you'd like to get in contact with him, the best thing you can do is stop by the shop, and if you're unable to do that, reach out to him on Instagram. His Instagram is @_Thore with 5 E's, so that's @_THOREEEE. Thanks again, Thore. This episode is brought to you by Be Junk Free Merced. Everyone has stuff that is taking up space, but not everyone has the time or equipment to do something about it. That's where Scott Livesay comes in. If you have junk overtaking your garage, yard, spare room, or even a storage unit, go ahead and give Be Junk Free Merced a call at 209-233-1519. They'll get back to you as soon as possible with a quote, and you won't regret it. Once again, that's Be Junk Free Merced. This episode is brought to you by Patriarch One. Patriarch One is a website, email, domain management, and design company. They can create website from startup, update your current website, or even deal with domain transferring. Not only do they build a website for you, but they partner and manage that entire domain. They also offer promotional gear as well, like business cards, shirts, pens, and most things with your logo on them. The best way to contact them is by phone number, 408-728-8001. Once again, that's 408-728-8001. Email them, info@patriarch1.com. Visit their website, patriarch1.com, or find them on Instagram at patriarch1.llc. Thanks again. This podcast is also brought to you by me. How's it going? I'm Micah Daly, the host of the show, and I'm also a filmmaker and photographer based in the Central Valley of California. I specialize in real estate photography and videography, as well as weddings and commercial work. So if you need any of those things, please hit me up at 209-769-4596. You can visit my website, aka my portfolio, micahdaly.com, or reach out to me on email and email me, micahdaly@gmail.com. Thanks again, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Real Talk and Whatnot, a Central Valley podcast, the podcast with the longest name. This week, my guest is Quentin Garcia, and Quentin is the lead chef at Capitan, which means under him is Mainzer, Capitan Catering, Native Son, as well as Rainbird. So the dude is a busy dude, and I had a great conversation with him. We totally broed out, and we're just laughing, having a great time. It was such a cool podcast because he's been cooking since he was 11 years old. He's been in a kitchen since he was 11 years old. So although he is only, believe he's 27 or 26, one of those, he's been in a kitchen for like almost 20 years. So he's worked at multiple Michelin Star restaurants, and we talked about his process and how he became a chef and how at a young age he was always drawn to it. So I really, really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you guys too. Once again, I'm going to remind you guys to make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram at Central Valley Podcast, and just make sure you're downloading the episodes and everything else. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Quentin Garcia.
This is it. Real talk. Whatnot.
Real talk. That's what it is. Real talk. Real talk. Real talk.
A little over a year.
Okay.
I want to say that.
And so that, and then during that year before, are they like, hey, can you start developing a menu? Or is it more you have to wait until you're in the kitchen to even?
No, I got thrown like right in. So part of like the interview process was obviously a little bit different, right? Because it was peak COVID. And
oh, yeah.
So I put in my application. I'm still in my old spot, and I look at it, and then I look up El Capitan, Merced, and I see it's a Hyatt property. And I've never heard of Merced, so I'm like, oh, this must be a super nice part of California, right? This must be like a new resort coming up. And I look
Merced, what is that?
So before I even look at the job site when I take a new place, I look at like places for rent in the city.
Like, wow, it's crazy affordable for California.
For rent in Merced, I was like, this is dirt cheap. where is this? And I look at El Capitan, I look at many news sites, and I just see wood. I just see wood and dirt.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
like, sadness. No, but there was just nothing. So I was really.
And you're from SoCal, right?
SoCal, then moved to Northern California, then moved to Europe. So I'm always in a place where there's a lot of activity.
Okay, gotcha.
So this was like going to be the most probably like desolate.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But part of the interview process and one of the first questions that Robin asked me after the pandemic happened, she was said, "Do you still have a job?
Okay.
Do you still have a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine right now. I'm okay.
Yeah.
This isn't out of necessity. I'm legitimately interested. It was always just time for me." She was like, "Okay," because obviously no one's hiring. We are, so that kind of gets a lot of people that are just sort of becoming a little.
Applying to get a
they
position.
just want it and then they're gonna leave. And I was like, no, it's not a plan B. I'm really curious about it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just, oh, here's a couple interviews, you got the job. It was an hour-long interview with her, an hour and a half. We actually talked for a while, and then an hour-long interview with the director of food and beverage.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I met them, I cooked with them, and then the day afterwards, they brought me up here for like 4 days. I started like working. Here's the menu concept. Here's the concept deck. Here's things that we're looking at.
And this is all while it was still closed, though?
Everything was still closed, and this was still part of my interview.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about this? And they gave me like a whole bunch of files of things about the restaurant and where it's going and kind of the concept of it.
Yeah, and like what they want to go
What
with
would your
it.
menu be? What's your food cost going to be? What are your ingredients, your purveyors? And it was just kind of like, okay, kind of in my environment. It was weird because I felt like I was already in it. Like I was already,
you're like, I feel like I'm part of the team right now.
I already got the job, and it was only me and a person like right there above me.
Yeah.
There was no one else in the office because no one else could be in the office. And then Robin.
Oh, yeah.
Just like a wall away.
And this is 2020? Was this like during...
Yeah.
Is this like beginning of 2020?
Peak. I came to Merced, and there was one
what-
car on Main Street.
Yeah, you're
And
like...
Jane Our Tacos was open.
But only to like takeouts and stuff
Yeah.
like that, way
and,
back.
And the Tioga just opened.
Okay, yeah.
That
Dang.
was it. That was my first like.
And you're
run
like,
through of
and it's
Merced.
like Merced, like that's Merced extra dead.
Yeah.
Like you're like, man, this sounds like nothing's going on, and it's summer too, right? Or was it during summer or was it fall?
It was, oh God, it was, and it was hell, man. It was hot.
Yeah, it had
hot.
to be.
So
Yeah.
It was probably
even August would be like hot as fuck.
It was probably close to that. And then I remember going like the day before when I first got there in the morning early before I met them in person.
Yeah.
I was like, please had like I just want a bagel. I found like bagel time.
Okay,
So I was like,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, dope. I'm gonna go there, and I was just asking. I was like, hey, I'm just maybe looking to move here. What do you guys think of Merced? And there were literally two girls there. One was like,
I would love to see
it's
the answer.
great. It's on the come up.
Okay.
It's awesome. One girl's like, it sucks.
Yeah, so those are the two attitudes of people who fucking live here, and
Yeah.
it's so the it sucks. People piss me the fuck off, man.
Yeah.
Like just because it's just like I always like through this podcast, it's like. The whole point of the idea of the show is talk about the talented people who live within the Central Valley. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like growing up here, people always just get into the habit of saying, or like, oh, it's like I feel like no matter where you live, you can find something to say bad about an area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And granted, Merced's a small town, so take it with a grain of salt. On like obviously there's not going to be as much stuff to do here as there is the Bay Area or there is SoCal. You know what I mean?
It's not fair to judge it.
Yeah,
like that.
but it's like, how can you like judge something like that? You know what I mean? And so my whole thing is, I'm always like, there's always people like, oh, it sucks. And I'm like, yeah, but like I could say that about anything. Like, what's your favorite movie? Well, that sucks. You know what I mean? What's your favorite dish? Like, oh, that sucks.
You live in New York. Like to me, I like visiting New York, but living there, I'd be like, that sucks.
Yeah,
I would hate.
exactly.
I'd hate it.
And I always tell
Not
people
cool.
it's so much easier to talk shit about something than it is to give something a compliment. Like, and so whoever that girl is who was like, oh, it's cool, it's coming up. Like, props to her because it's so
She's cool.
Yeah, it's like 50% of people. Like, I feel like always wanted to get better, and the other 50% are still on the like, oh, it sucks mindset. I'm like, you guys realize that majority of times, like, I feel like places that people think suck is just because everyone's mentality sucks. You know what I mean? And that's why I like seeing things like El Capitan and different new businesses open up because it's like a fresh light finally. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It feels like it's like we have a UC, we have things that are like making the town grow. So it's cool to see things like that. Why don't you introduce yourself for people who are listening?
I guess that makes sense. My name's Quentin Garcia. I'm the executive chef at Mainzer and El Capitan Hotel,
Gotcha.
all the restaurants on that portion of Main Street.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a Rainbird, and then the Courtyard, and then Native Son. Are those the three?
Rainbird, EC, Native Son, any of our banqueting catering programs, and then Mainzer restaurant.
Okay. And how did you get into cooking? You know, like where did has it always been a thing, or?
So everyone always like asks that now. So I was like, I'm told it so many times where I'm just like, I kind of go through.
You have like your elevator speech
right,
of like, well, hey, you could detour off your elevator speech, man. Let's fucking get deep.
It's so I was always captivated by like creativity or artists, right? I could never really. I could never get to their level, and I was always like, why can I draw well, right? I couldn't draw well. I couldn't speak very eloquently. I couldn't write well. I couldn't do poetry, and I couldn't express myself in that way. So it was like, well, what the hell can I do? Like, I can't build. I'm not this engineer where I'm like, I can't take these things from Legos. Like, I love Legos, but freestyler, right? Like I can't. Yeah. I want to, but I can't get there.
Yeah. I'm with you. If I pick up like a paintbrush, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
You have like the music in the background.
Like I can do
nothing's happening.
Like photography, videography, I can understand how I can capture something, set up a shot of real life to look beautiful. But I can't take my hand and create fucking something that like people are gonna be like, wow, that's really good, you know?
That's not it.
That's not me, yeah.
But it was just I kind of found it when I started cooking really young, like young. I was little, and I felt like some sort of satisfaction when I would make something. It was dog crap, but I made something, and other people just got to eat it, and other people liked it. Like I would have the help of my mom and my dad making it, but if I would take some part of it and finally take my work and put it on a plate, and people were like, they looked forward to it. They're like, "Thank you so much." That resonated really deep with me more than anything else got. And
so you said you were young when you started cooking. How young were you?
I was 11 years old when I started cooking professionally.
So professionally, you were 11. So
in a professional kitchen. I wasn't professional at 11.
No, but
in a professional kitchen.
So what is that? So what does that mean? You're 11 years old in a professional kitchen. Like I'm just trying to imagine a little kid, like you know what I mean, like in a kitchen at 11 years old. So when you say that, like kind of what does that look like?
I always tell people that my talent isn't like cooking, right? My talent is knowing what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's my talent, because some people get lost in that,
really?
Right? So I was super lucky, and I got to start that really young. But I was also lucky, and I got to work for a French chef that loved to take advantage of child labor. I would never recommend that, like, moving forward, and I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I'm like, don't do that. Don't do it. Like, legitimately, you'll go far in life. Don't do it. It's sickening. But it was...
And so, was this in SoCal?
This was in SoCal.
And so how did you link up with this French chef, being an 11-year-old kid?
I worked with other chefs that were like above me, and I basically asked, how do you get your foot in the door? How did you start?
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
All of those old style chefs, because the ones that are already like older, they were in the old style of kitchens, and they said, ask the chef that you want to cook for them, ask them that you want to learn, so you'll do anything. How can I get into your kitchen? Teach me, and that's always the best way. So that's basically what I did. I went on the back door of the restaurant, and I asked the chef just to teach me.
Yeah,
like,
you're a little kid. I mean,
like
and the chef, I mean, at that time, probably just he's like a little kid who like wants to learn. He's like, well, for some free labor, that works with me.
Yeah, it was actually it wasn't as cute. So it was basically kind of like talking to me, and then this was a Friday.
Yeah.
I do nothing about restaurants. They're about to get like destroyed,
slammed. Yeah.
So what do you want? Blah blah blah. Thick French accent, and I'm like, I feel like an idiot, because I'm realizing like I'm talking to an actual chef.
Yeah.
Right. I'm intimidated. The guy looks angry, and I'm nothing.
Yeah.
So I just say, I want to cook, and that's all I could say.
Yeah.
And he paused. He just like paused for a second. Do you have any knives? No, I don't have any knives. Like, do you have any clothes, shoes, apron, anything?
Yeah.
I don't have.
You're freezing.
That was it.
Yeah.
I'm freezing.
Especially at like 11 years old. Yeah.
But still, I felt like even at 11, I was like, I'm an idiot. Like, I didn't think about any of this. I thought I was gonna be just like, I want to work for you. Come inside, pal. Like,
but to be fair, you're 11. Like on the flip of that, I think you got to give yourself enough credit that you're a kid who's like going out to try to pursue something that they want to do. You know what I mean? So yeah, you might not have fucking knives and aprons and whatever else, you know what I mean? But you had the ambition at least at 11 years old to be like, I want to get better at this. How do I get better? So eventually the guy says, yeah, come on in. Or what?
No, he says, I don't have time for this right now. Just come back tomorrow. I can't.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Shuts the door. I go back. I feel like crying because I feel like my dad just yelled at me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, now I have even more anxiety. I'm like worse. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm in prison. I go back the next day and they invite me in, and then they get me the world's crappiest little knife kit. They get me some oversized chef coats and some oversized shoes, and literally it's just like, we'll pay you in food and knowledge. You take it or you don't. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And it's just boom, that was it.
And that was it. And that was your start in a professional kitchen, basically.
That was the start. So just being like their everything that they didn't want to do.
Yeah,
chopping stuff, peeling stuff, the basics, like understanding how to get to that point.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
So you're like prepping for them and stuff like that. And then how long do you quote work there?
Years.
Years?
Yeah.
So till what age do you think?
Almost until high school graduation.
Okay, gotcha. Did they ever once start paying you or no?
They did.
Like after the first couple of years?
No, it was much
towards
later.
the end of your towards the end of your time there.
Towards the end of it, and that's why people are just like, "Well, where'd you work at?" And I'm like, they still do that, so I'm not going to. I'm not going to talk about that.
Yeah, you're not going to tell them who it is.
But it was for my time and my purpose and what I wanted. That really worked for me. And if I didn't do that at that point in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
I kind of have the understanding of food. And it was cool, right? Because you got to see, like, I got to see as a kid, and even when I first became a chef, like, I got to see the old style of cooking.
Yeah.
And, like, kind of where kitchens are going. So I still got, like, the old days that these other chefs are still talking about, which was the old days are full of abuse. No one talks back to you. The chef is a god. And
I worked in a restaurant before, but that's kind of the vibe I got. You know
go
what I
in
mean?
and it smells like anger.
Yeah, exactly. Fridays nights not happy in the kitchen. You know what
everyone
I mean?
hates it.
Yeah,
and everyone's like going out to drink afterwards.
Because I was a server, so I'm always like, oh, I'm just gonna mess up on a fucking order so I can eat today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, chef, they want a chicken instead of beef. I'll just have this, okay?
Yeah, right.
Like,
Oh, those guests are stupid.
yeah. You're just blaming them for it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, whatever. It worked out for a while. But it was always cool because there was always the lead chef, but then there was always like the chef or whoever the lead chef was at the time of like the day or whatever. If the chef wasn't there during like or the days he was off, so I'd always like love going in and like, oh cool, like hey, make me this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even the chef would start. You know, I just was like you always have to. Some people I always laughed because like new people would be like go and ask the chef like in the middle of like a Friday night rush, like hey, can you make me a? I'm like you guys are what are you doing? Like have like a little common sense, not like a lot. Just ask for a little common sense, you guys.
Yeah.
So you did that until like about end of high school, and then do you want to go pursue it in culinary arts or?
I joined. So I was lucky. My school got. They had a culinary arts program.
Really?
So I went in that through most of high school, and then.
And so so you were literally learning. Not only were you like working as a kid, but you're learning learning in high school about it.
Yeah.
That's real cool.
It was like and that was like nice. That was like really, really cool. But it was just like, oh, hey, you put this much salt into a stock, or here's how much sauce you make. The proper way to do it. Instead of like, well, this is real proper. And if you have all day to make one thing, and then that was sort of where I got a little. That's where like the ego phase came in because I was like, I've been doing this so long. Like you're nothing.
Yeah,
you are trash and below me.
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I can do this a million times.
Or you're like laughing at your classmates who are like, you're like these guys.
Yeah, these guys, they don't know anything. About how to dice a potato. Yeah, real stupid. But, after that in junior year, I learned they go to competitions. So it was called a Pro Start program, and they go to basically as high schoolers they make up a fake city, and part of the scholarship that you can win is you're designated to design a restaurant concept in the city, and they give you marketing, they give you the people that are going to be there. They basically base it off of like here's Texas or here's Orange County, here's this area. Now make a restaurant that's going to be successful, whatever it is, whatever the concept is.
And each kid is making their own.
We have a group. We have a team of people
that you're working with.
5.
Okay,
yeah.
and you're working with that team, and this person's in charge of this. This person's in charge of that, and so go on. Sorry.
No. It's fine. So because I was cooking at that point, they never had anyone in like as a junior. It was always senior. So they said, you kind of have experience, go in there, and then so senior year you'll be the captain and kind of go over it.
Yeah.
And it was super cool to kind of see building a restaurant from the ground up. So I worked with a professional chef that helped guide us and how to make a business plan and how to make like logos, to buying like kitchen equipment, to designing a kitchen, to making your own menu from scratch that fits the concept. And going in there junior year, it was the very first time they did that sort of like program. So they changed the whole scholarship thing. Ours was trash, just hot garbage. We did not know what we were doing. We thought it was cool.
So what are you doing? Submitting this like on paper? You know what I mean? Like
submitting it on paper, you're making like a presentation board, and you're going to investors, right? You want to want to open up El Cap Hotel.
Yeah.
What's your business plan? Here,
you're Shark Tanking it.
Yeah.
Kind of basically. You're
exactly
like walking
that.
in like, hey, blah blah blah. Like
exactly that. And there's your judges are like people that have done this before. So we had one of the presidents of BJ restaurants.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
BJ's, man, huh?
like the president of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mr. BJ himself.
Mr. BJ, yeah. How did you acquire your name, sir?
Yeah, sir. I would really like to know more why you
my immature
named
self.
a whole restaurant BJ's. Like,
yeah. But it was like you can't like mess with these
Yeah.
people. Like they know it. It's not like, oh, there's some burnout chef that's like, this is cool. No,
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people are like, we make millions of dollars a day. You can make it or you can't. So it was you getting like real knowledge. And then they kind of sat us down and said, we kind of understood where you were going. Here's where everything kind of went bad. They talked to you. And then the next year, I hate to lose. I hate it. So next year I was already thinking about it all summer long. All along, I was like kind of like recruiting.
you were
when I first
pretty much,
started.
like thinking of like, okay,
Yeah.
how can I actually win
So,
this thing?
Won that in senior year. I got
And so, how many schools was this? Like, or like,
so in California, I think I went against. I want to say like there were like 20 to 25 other schools.
Yeah.
That competed. So
and then
first in state.
is there only one team from each school?
Yeah, only one. team
Okay,
from each
gotcha,
school.
gotcha.
So we got first in state of California. And then we went to nationals.
Okay,
That's where,
gotcha.
everyone goes, and then we got top 10, and that
Oh,
gave me
really?
a scholarship. That kind of gave me the scholarship and money to go on and
To go to school?
further everything. Yeah.
Okay, and then where did you go to? So then, your process of going to school. Where'd you go to school?
Orange County, and I
Orange
didn't want to go to
County.
school. I was kind of getting lazy at that point. I was already
You already know
working.
how to do this. Kind
Yeah,
of?
I was already working. I was already burnt out. I didn't really get to like maybe fully be a kid.
I
And
don't think you did, man.
right, like no, I
If you're
didn't.
11, like
Yeah, I
in
was
the
working for
kitchen,
food
yeah,
and knowledge.
yeah,
That's the life.
yeah.
But no, I only went because my brother, he just kind of went straight into work. He didn't want to go to school. He was burnt out on it. And my parents, they really, really wanted they really wanted someone to go to college.
Break this
Right,
cycle.
just please go. So I got a half tuition scholarship on the school, and then I got another like 30 grand on top of that to start halfway in the semester. So I just said, all right, I'll do it. So all that combined, it was pretty much a free ride to school. And I said, if I don't do that, like that's kind of a jerk move, right? There's a lot of people that would really love to do
Yeah,
that.
and especially if you get a scholarship to go somewhere.
Yeah, and it's just like,
hey.
nah, I don't want
Yeah.
to like, I don't want to have that thing of like, I'm too good for this. No, like there's something I can learn. So that's
And so when you went to school, was there like because I mean I'm sure it's just like any type of program and stuff like that where there's obviously some people that's more experienced and skilled and other people that aren't so experienced and skilled. So did they like when you went to school were they like, oh, this kid kind of knows what he's doing, like, or did you have to go and take all the remedial bullshit classes too?
It was everything. Yeah, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. You had to take everything.
Really? So
Yeah.
you go from the beginning. And how long is like a culinary school?
It can last anywhere from 2 to 4 years.
Okay, so how long were you there?
I went for 3.
3 years.
Yeah, at that point I was.
And then after that, do you go and start cooking somewhere else?
Typically,
I mean, you get a job being a chef somewhere else.
like if you're at a culinary school, the misconception is like I'm gonna be a chef.
Yeah.
Very wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And I
extremely
think
wrong.
because for me, I assume that it's like culinary school. Try to become a chef somewhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So what is it actually like?
You're a line cook at Applebee's, so like a lot of kids they'll do that.
Dude, that's got to be one of the best jobs in Merced.
So they'll go out and they'll cook at like commercial spots, and that's when it's like reality hits in. Is like you really need to climb up.
Yeah, you got to make your.
Yeah, your only experience cooking is at school. You don't know anything about commercial cooking.
Yeah.
you need to learn. So that's where a lot of people will start, and they'll be like, oh, this.
Do some people like lose their fucking passion or lose their, you know what I mean? Because then they get stuck into this is not what they were thinking of when going to culinary arts school. You know what I mean?
That abusive, and you want to do more, but you have to climb up to get more, and then you don't know how to do that, and then you feel stuck, and then you never progress, and then it kind of sits in like you become that like burnout cook that feels underpaid. You don't have passion. You're doing stuff from like literally a pre-made bag, and it's like that's where a lot of people end up.
No, and exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've been a server. It's like you see those type of people like in kitchens, and I kind of just feel bad for them too, because I'm like, I'm sure this is not where they thought like they were gonna be. But so for you, after that, how did you make that not happen to you? You know what I mean?
I worked for a celebrity chef while I was going to school in Laguna Beach, Amar Santana, and then I really wanted to work for him. He kind of had like a real he still does. He has a huge ego, but what I can't take away from the guy is like he knows how to cook. He knew how to cook, and he knew how to put items on a menu from commodity ingredients where I was like, I don't know what the hell you're doing, and I just had to learn. And he really boosted me up, and he taught me so many more techniques, and then I got like an even bigger hunger than what I had. So at that point, I said, I want to learn from the best, and I need to go to Europe. So at that point, that's when I went to Denmark.
Oh, okay,
and
gotcha.
I started cooking up there.
Copenhagen or where?
Yeah, right in Copenhagen.
Okay, gotcha.
So pretty much right after I graduated college, it was Copenhagen.
Really?
Yeah.
And you got lined up through that, or was a celebrity chef there?
So the Amar was in Laguna Beach, and when I wanted to go to Denmark, one of his opening sous chefs was actually already in Denmark, and I didn't even know that at the time.
Oh.
So when I applied there, he was like, "You work for Amar Santana?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "I opened up his restaurant with him. Does he know that you're leaving?" And I was like, "He's only going to know if I get a job up in Denmark. Otherwise, I can't. I'm
not going to leave."
Yet.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Ask him if it's okay, and then I got you." So it was just
wow,
small world
for being across the freaking world.
Yeah, that's dope.
That's so wild, and that's crazy. Like, who would have thought you applying? And so you saw this job application to become what there? Like, just become a chef there, or no?
No job application. It was because I was American. I didn't have a work visa or anything.
Yeah.
So it'd pretty much just be me. Like, I'm again for however long I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be getting paid at all. So I had to make sure I got a job where it was like, hey, can you guys house me?
Yeah.
And can you feed me?
Yeah.
It's kind of like daddy issues, right? Like I'm going back to 11 years old and getting abused again.
Yeah.
But it was no, I got a gig up there that they housed me, they fed me, no money in it, but the amount of stuff that I was learning was just insane. So that's
right. And that was, so you were in Copenhagen for how long?
That was about 4 months.
4 months, and then you come back to where? You know what I mean? You leave there with the knowledge you learned, right? And how are you using all this knowledge and stuff and skills that you're learning in order to become like an executive chef and not into one of these other types of situations that we talked about?
I felt like the standards that I learned in like Michelin Star Restaurants up there.
Yeah.
That was like my hunger now. So I looked for restaurants that were doing something really
like
special. And those were far and few in between. So I went back to Orange County, and then Amar, I helped him out a lot, and he raised me up to be a really good cook. And he's like, "When are you coming back?" When I said hi to everyone, I was like, I don't know if I am.
Yeah.
Not that your food is like trash. It's just like there's something else I need. I need to stop doing so many numbers, and I want to start focusing on high quality food. So that's when I started working for a place called Taco Maria. That was a 4-course tasting menu for dinner that was authentic Mexican food. And it was like, I'd never seen Mexican food like it. So what do you think of when you think of Mexican food?
I mean, I think of like taco truck burritos. That's
right?
what I think of.
Rice, beans, like overstuffed. Like blowing up the next day.
Enchiladas, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And
quesadillas, that type of stuff.
Yeah. He had tacos during lunch, and it was like everything made from scratch. Like the tacos were made from scratch, pressed that day to order. Really high quality stuff.
Yeah.
And then dinner
Fresh,
was just this like beautiful, gorgeous, Michelin-esque type meal that when they say Mexican food, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be fancy rice and beans on a plate, on a really nice plate. It was stuff that I didn't even know existed. And it was just gorgeous. Like he was going to the Santa Monica Farmers Market every single other day, coming back, and it was like a 4-hour like drive back and forth.
Damn, just to get his
and
ingredients.
just to get the best ingredients, and then giving it to you to cook. And sometimes you might only be doing like 30 covers, but each dish that you put out, just like I was experiencing in Europe, it was perfection. And that's like where my heart was. It was like, I'm still cooking. I'm cooking the best stuff that I can, and I feel like what I'm plating is actually art. And then you give it to someone, they're like, I didn't know that beets could taste so amazing. I didn't know that just an orange, however you treat it, could be this spectacular. And it was, that's what kind of kicked off my fire even more, because he was super calm, and that guy is...
And is that different from a lot of chefs that he had worked with before?
Yeah,
like, it just seems like in movies and things like that, chefs have a little more high energy. You know what I mean?
They make him a little bit more.
Or I have what's his fucking name, Gordon Ramsay in my head all the time. You know what I mean, or whatever. You know what I mean? You have those type of people who get popular, and then like the common folk like me. You know, I'm like, I guess that's just how chefs are. Like, you know what I mean?
It's weird because I don't know, there's still some part of the industry that celebrates that like egotistical, angry, abusive chef, and it's sort of embarrassing, right? I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, are you gonna let someone talk to you like that? No, like we're all grown ups in a kitchen, right?
Exactly.
Unless we're really like cool with each other, you don't get to talk to me like that.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna have a problem with you. It's kind of like how I've grown to be, and I remember what it was like to be in that position, right? To be like an underling, and then getting screamed at for not having your pasta rolled out this thick instead of this thing.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, screamed at it. I've seen a chef, like, pull another chef over the line, like, by the apron, scream at them, throw them out, physically beat them and throw stuff at them. Damn. For the dumbest things. And you think about how ridiculous it is. Like, I'm getting yelled at for not being able to brunoise shallot perfectly. To dice a damn shallot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting demeaned for. And, like, scared for. That's why I hate coming into work.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. And it's like...
It's that culture that kind of just
like... It's like kinda, that PR. It's like, this chef is so cool. And you work for him, you're like... You see all the cooks, it's like, he's not. He is not. The guy is an animal.
Do a lot of chefs smoke cigarettes? I always feel like in movies and stuff like that. Right? Yeah. And even my restaurant, too, they would all smoke cigarettes. And I was like, man, like, what is up?
Yeah, a lot of them smoke cigarettes, and a lot of chefs still, it's like kind of the common thing is smoke and drink. And I think the only reason I never caught on to that is working so young. When all the cooks would go to the bar, I literally couldn't. So it was never part of your routine, huh? Yeah. I'd grab like a Coke or like a Gatorade from the fountain, and then I'd be on my way. Yeah. So I was always addicted to like when you messaged me, I was like, I like energy drinks and all that like colorful stuff. I still hold on to it because I'm like, that's what excites me.
Yeah, incredible nostalgia for yourself.
Yeah. Instead of like cigarettes, I'm like snacks. Dumplings or like some sort of like really crappy snack after work. That's my like cigarette, and then Gatorades or Red Bulls or energy drinks. That's my alcohol.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'll drink if it's like a glass of wine less than 10 times a year. I really don't drink at all.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's like, I feel like I'm not a big drinker, but because the podcast made me drink the podcast made me a drinker way more than I ever had been. Because in the very beginning, it was like I was always nervous. Like if I was like talking to somebody I didn't know, I'd be like fucking pounding beer. Like how do I just keep talking? Yeah. I used to be so afraid of like if it was quiet, like dead space.
Yeah, like I'm not awkward. I'm not.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, oh, I got to drink now and that. But now I just like. I feel like I just drink, but it's not like I don't drink a lot, but it's more of like. If I'm going to go talk to somebody, it's like, let's grab a beer. But I'm not like every day I'm going to go home, drink like 4 beers and then pass out. You know what I mean?
Alcoholic.
I can't do that. Yeah, alcoholic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then so from working at the Mexican place, when did you, how long before that was El Capitan?
Man.
Years?
Four, 5, no. That was maybe five years, I think.
Okay, so then did you work anywhere else after the Mexican place?
Yeah, I went up to Northern California, and then
Where at in NorCal?
The restaurant burned down, but it's called the Restaurant at Meadowood. I worked up there, and that was
Where's that near?
Do you know a famous restaurant called the French Laundry?
I don't.
There's Chef Thomas Keller.
French Laundry.
So, yeah, basically everyone knows about him in Northern California. And that was cool, but I wanted to do something different. And, like, the restaurant at Meadowood was another 3 Michelin Star restaurant. And they were doing food
right there,
like,
that it?
So that's a French Laundry. Super, super dope. Like, awesome. That's like a culinary institution of excellence. But Meadowood was doing something super incredible. And
where at in NorCal? Sorry.
French Laundry's up in Yountville, and the restaurant at Meadowood is up in St.
Click
Helena.
on the map real quick, Duffy. I just want to see. I just don't. For some reason, I don't know.
It's like 20 minutes away from Napa.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Small little sleepy town. Incredibly expensive and gorgeous.
Yeah,
absolutely drop dead.
You
beautiful.
just drive anywhere north of Napa, and all those towns are. I'm like, where am I?
Man, I can't afford this.
Yeah, I'm like, where am I at?
Yeah.
Like, you feel like you're in like a little utopian society. You know what I mean? Anytime I go anywhere up there. Okay, so you went up there and started working there for how long?
I worked there for. I honestly don't remember.
Mm-hmm. But each place you're
that's
kind
why
of.
I'm like super thankful I don't need to keep writing resumes anymore, because when they always ask for the years, I'm like, just stop.
Yeah.
Stop it.
And so, but each place you're going to, you're kind of gathering more and more skills and different things and learning just the different ways that you're just learning different things basically, right? And so, what did you learn here at this place? Or what would you say you took away from it? You know what I mean? That you didn't have in your arsenal yet, or?
I took away the organization, cleanliness of the kitchen. Like, it was a gorgeous kitchen. There was no part of it that was ever dirty, because it just wasn't tolerated. Kind of within like a fear, right? Like, it was a lot of pressure, it was a lot of intensity, and I don't blame it. It's a 3 Michelin star kitchen, right? And that usually came with aggressive demeanor. So that was kind of like already built in. You saw what would happen from someone that didn't have someone to clean, and you were like, I don't want to get screamed at. So like, if you're working and you drop a piece of there's a droplet of water in your station, quick, grab your towel.
Oh, clean as you go,
like,
not
sincerely nonstop. Like, you could just have your food spill on the floor in a kitchen floor, and the floors were so damn clean you could actually just eat it off, like legitimately. Laminate flooring, all great.
The restaurant I worked at was complete opposite.
Not the way.
Not
no.
Michelin.
But they had like 15 something cooks in there. So they cleaned the floors beginning of shift and right before we go to dinner service. So it's like literally scrubbing the floors, squeegeing them, and everything. So it's
never let it get to the chance of it getting dirty. Pretty much, right?
No,
like
ever.
Yeah, it was always just you clean it before it's dirty.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the biggest thing I learned from that, which I learned from Carlos Salgado at Taco Maria, but at Meadowood under Christopher Costow, his cooking was it was so damn pure. Where like the French Laundry, it's really like it's very heavy. There's a lot of butter, and it's French cooking. There's a lot of butter and fats in that, and it's delicious. But after 15 courses or so, you're like your palate's kind of tired.
Yeah.
Costow had a garden at his disposal, which was a huge garden.
Oh, like at the place, they'd have a garden?
Yeah, only about maybe a 10-minute drive away.
Oh, okay,
next to a monastery school. And the coolest thing there was he would take ingredients that were like pure, the best little like gem lettuces that you would have, and he found a way to like cook it to where you tasted purity in ingredients, and you didn't need to add butter.
It wasn't
or
like
heavy
drenched
fats.
in butter. Yeah,
no, and I was
yeah.
like, this is super cool. Like, these peas are delicious, and it was like a dish of peas and squid and like nasturtium, and it was like, this is so damn clean and interesting. I can taste every single thing. I've never experienced that before. So that level. To achieve that in cooking and your ingredients is incredibly hard. Any cook can go home and take like awesome scallops and sear them super hard and baste them with brown butter and thyme and garlic and make it delicious.
I always think that because it's like whenever I go to Italian places, it's like I'm like, oh man, this pasta's hella good, but I'm also like, I think it's just drenched in butter. Like, I think that's what I'm like tasting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like with a lot of Italian food, it's just like sometimes I'm like,
Fat,
it's just like fat and
cream.
butter, and I'm like, no shit, it's fucking good. Like, you know what I
It's
mean?
horrible for me.
Yeah, exactly. But like you're saying, where you're using more raw, like the raw materials, and using those flavors to complement each other, right? Kinda.
Yeah, and learning how to like ferment things and dry things and take your like tomatoes and get 4 different flavors out of them, and he would like ferment some, he would dry some, he'd dry age them, and he'd do all these sorts of things with them where I'm like, this is the same ingredient but with what he's doing with them
with 4 different flavors.
Yeah. And it's like it gets this insane umami just from vegetables. So it's like learning how to do that and work with fermentation and work on building a larder program is what helped me a lot achieve flavors besides just brown butter, garlic, and the same ingredient, and kind of the same taste that a lot of restaurants will have.
Yeah, exactly. It's to kind of make yourself stand out a little bit. And so you were working there for a few years?
No, not a few years, because the longest time I spent in Napa was becoming the chef at Blue Note Napa, right in downtown Napa.
Was it afterwards?
That was afterwards. So the current chef there, she was a former chef at the laundry, and she was working like fish stations. So she worked every single station,
gotcha.
and fish was one of the hardest. So I was like, oh, I can learn so much from her. But she was kind of already like getting on her way out and looking for new opportunities.
Blue Note?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there?
That's the one.
Wow, what a lineup.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
So that place was super dope because it was a jazz club.
And
And they could
really?
fit 150 people per show, but they'd have 2 shows a night. And your job was to give them upscale food when 150 people would just come in all at once and make them happy. And it was miserable.
And are you you making stuff that they order, or are you more like, this is what you're eating? You know what I mean?
No. So it was with the menu. They'd order off of it. It was just sometimes people would stagger in, but you know, at a restaurant, right? Like instead of reservations, it was, we know we're sold out for tonight. Are they going to come in intermittently, or sometimes you'd literally have 150 people lined around the block?
Yeah.
Coming in
exactly.
at once, and you were praying.
You go from like, oh wow, maybe it'll actually be slow tonight, to we are 30 tickets deep now.
Yeah, there's no hope.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was kind of designing a menu that was upscale. That you could charge $30 to $45.
But you could also make.
They could make without pissing people off.
Yeah, exactly. So, how long were you there, the head chef there?
I think that one was just a touch over 3 years, and that's where like that's where I really learned how to
kind of run a restaurant,
not be a chef,
or not be a chef, really. And why?
Attitude wise.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So being like in there and your name on the food and on the menu, right? It was a sense of pride, right? Because now the food, like, you're getting better reviews, people are liking it more, and you're like, you're turning it around, you're making the owners money, you feel good. And as a chef, when kind of coming from these high end restaurants and everything, I sort of replicated the energy, and it was if you did one thing wrong, like, maybe one thing didn't happen to me.
Get the fuck over here.
Yeah, like slapping like their knuckles with like super hot spoons out of the fryer. If they were cutting something wrong, throwing something right at their chest, like smashing like one of the plastic cups against her chest.
You were watching too much Hell's Kitchen, man.
No, I hated Hell's Kitchen. It was like stuff that I've actually seen.
Yeah.
Like you saw the chef dude next to me, or like across the room, and like everyone just puts their head down.
And so, did you start getting that attitude you're saying, or are you saying you saw that by everybody else there?
I was being that chef that I hated.
Okay. No, hey, it's good. It's very good that you're like, you could see it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people could just be like, I'm in the right here. I'm the head chef. You know what I mean?
Well,
and so,
it's like I didn't get like, joy out of it. Like who likes being like angry? You don't you don't get off. Some people do, and they're psychotic. Like some of those chefs that are in those kitchens, like
they like the power
they'll
hungry.
Be that way. And they're like, yeah, I'm cool. Like I'm great. And they'll talk to a guest like everything's fine, and I'm like, there's something wrong. There's something foundationally wrong with you. Like either a huge ego, or like you really don't see the issue here. Like you have a family. Like what's wrong with you? But it's once that happened, what kind of like stopped it was, first off, like I was getting like a lot of anxiety, and I just didn't like it, but I liked what I was doing. There's something that I wasn't enjoying about myself, and I made the switching point was I made a couple of cooks quit their career. And so that's different. You make someone quit a job, I'm going somewhere else, but you made someone quit their career, and they were solid cooks, and I relied on them. And I still, like, if they did something wrong, it wasn't just like, hey, I get it, like, stop it, like, let's do this together. It was just tearing them apart, like bad, getting on them and ruining their night, their week. And when they kind of, basically put in their notice, I was like, oh, like, okay, well, how long are you giving me? Like, no, I'm not gonna cook anymore. And so that hit me a little bit different than someone just like leaving and going somewhere else. I always like, thank you for everything. I really apprieght that.
It was then you're like, you're like, oh, I'm detouring this person from what they once was their passion.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That was the thing. Was like, why? Like, why? What else? What else are you doing? Are you getting into something? Because some people might go into engineering or construction. I can't. Like, I feel worthless under you. And it was a super real conversation. It was like you make me feel worthless, and I really truly don't enjoy what I do anymore. Like I don't like to cook. I don't like what I come into, and I feel like I've kind of dealt with that in kitchens, but here it's just like I respect how you cook,
And like
I
you
respect
were
what you do,
and like you were saying when you were first starting out, you were kind of getting treated like that too, and you're the old school type of mentality and things like that, and like probably from you being around it for so long, whether you knew it or not, you were just picking up on the habits just because this is how
you're absorbing it.
This is how kitchens are. This is what kitchens do. Now that I'm in charge, it's like I'm gonna treat people the way I got treated back in the day or whatever. You know what I mean? And so when did you kind of start like? Okay, I need to start changing, start a reflection
After
instantly,
that,
right?
So they left, right? Because it was just like the whole like, instead of just saying you're a piece of shit, like you're a trash chef, I respect what you do and I respect how you cook. I can't work for you and I don't feel human.
It wasn't.
That hurt. So it was like I finished service. I was super quiet and I was like calm. I was suffering like a super insane anxiety attack, and I went home. I just like cried.
Yeah.
I was like bawled, and I felt like I remember how that felt. I felt horrible, and I was like, I'm literally kind of like that chef that I resented, right?
Yeah,
like I work for you, and I can cook for you, and I picked up on your traits, but you're a piece of garbage person.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's exactly how I was doing. So it took me probably like a few days because I had the weekend off after that, and then I got back in, and it was. Just be human, right? Like as a cook, I made mistakes. I sent an overdone steak, and I did this, and I'm not cooking Michelin food. No one knows who I am outside of here. Like, oh, you're the chef of Blue Note. Oh, cool. No one in the next city knows who I am, right? Like, why am I acting like this? So
why am I acting like?
So it was treating them human, allowing music to go on. If a cook, because at that point they were still scared of me. So if a cook was like struggling with something, and I noticed that they weren't doing something on a prep list because they were scared of screwing it up, I would bring it to them. I'd say, hey, you're not doing this yet. I haven't gotten
like
to
you
it.
almost started picking up on people's mannerisms, and like you're like, oh shit, people are like
scared.
Yeah, scared. They're not wanting to do things. They don't want to learn because they don't want to mess up. Because if they mess up, they know that they're gonna whatever's gonna happen. Yeah.
And the biggest difference is okay, like let's do it together. And the annoyance in me was like, I've showed you 5 times. But you were scared of me at that point. Let's do it together. You bring out this half, I'm gonna bring out this half, I'll show you everything. And I started doing that approach and doing it right next to them and just kind of talking with them. Like just conversation. Let's talk, let's do something. What are your plans for this weekend? What'd you do this last week? And that sounds fun, doing it. And then if they were messing up or getting too casual, hey, keep focused real fast. Let's do this, or let's plan something like this.
Just learning to talk to people different ways.
Just like that.
Picking up social cues and things like that.
And that took like training to reverse being a jerk.
Yeah, reverse training of what everything that you've been doing for the past fucking like 15 years or whatever.
To just being like human. And
yeah.
I started seeing results like much better within a month. Like,
and it probably took you, huh?
Yeah.
It probably took you fucking a while because you're now realizing all this shit. Like, oh, and then so you said it took about a month for people to kind of start.
It took that.
Warm
it
up.
took me maybe like a full year of practicing that to where I could like fully control myself.
Like run a kitchen and with that mannerism.
With healthiness in mind, like,
exactly.
You know, so that's how I am now. And like I hold myself to like really like I care about my cook's mental health and like if they're struggling with something. And that's why like in kitchens now, a lot of kitchens will have like super high turnover. And I'm super proud that we don't really have that because it's all my sous chefs, my chef de cuisine, and me, it's if a cook doesn't know how to do something, it's take the time, no matter how frustrating it might be or how busy you might be, take the time, show it to them, because respect in kitchens is earned by how much they feel they can rely on you when they're struggling.
And how much, and I think like it's probably like someone comes and works for you now being treated such a different way than, what the typical norm might have been, you know what I mean? That you can actually probably, if someone's like, now you can be like that mentor that you had, you know what I mean? And a good mentor, you can like look back on and be like, oh, I really appreciated the way he taught me versus like, oh, that guy was a fucking asshole, but I learned some things from him. You know what I mean? So it's probably more rewarding at the end of the day too.
It feels rewarding, and hopefully they appreciate it.
Taking it that way.
I can only hope. I don't know. I'm just like, yeah, you think highly of me, don't you? I'm like, I don't know what you're thinking of me, but I'm gonna do my best so that you feel that you can learn under me. It's like that's always my goal is after you work for me, if you just listen to me, I'll make you better and hopefully better than I am. But
yeah, exactly.
That's it. So
and so after that restaurant, was it El Cap?
Yeah, it was El Cap.
It was El Cap. Okay. And you get to El Cap, and like in the very beginning, we're talking about they're kind of like, design a menu. What would you do? I'm asking you these questions, which, from what we've talked about so far, it's like you have been trying to basically prepping your whole life since before high school, whether we knew it or not, to be able to like It was basically your high school competition was what Al Cap was asking you in the interview, like, what's your menu going to be that's different?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so was that the first time where it was like, I'm creating my personal own menu? You know what I mean?
No, I was doing that at Blue Note, but to this scope, with this many players involved and this many checkpoints, that was definitely at El Cap because, it's Hyde. It's the corporate structure. So I could think that this menu is great, and then you kind of go through checkpoints, and some people might say, this is 90% there. I don't like this, or it's priced wrong, or here. So you're like, all right, you're fixing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's still your vision. It's still your menu. Now, after all that work and everything, you got to make it taste good.
Yeah.
And you got to teach everyone how to do it and hire everyone and show them what to do. And
you have to be okay with like, okay, if I'm not here, is the kitchen still going to run or whatever? You know what I mean?
That took a lot to get to like not be there every single day.
Yeah, because that's the thing with chefs too, where it's like, I always think that like, it's like majority of the time chefs are there fucking like, you probably work way more than 40 hours a week. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure it just really depends. But and when you first got hired, you were more focused on Courtyard, Native Son, and just El Cap food, right? Or are you also Mainzer too?
I'm Mainzer. So I'm the executive chef for all their properties.
Okay, gotcha. So you're Mainzer too.
Mainzer.
So what is the difference from doing a Native Son to the Courtyard to Mainzer all the way to Rainbird? You know what I mean?
I think that the biggest difference I would say is, first off, like different entrees, right? Like at EC you can get like steaks and chops and all that stuff, and some fish, and Mainzer it's super casual.
A little more
it's
diner
solid.
type of
It's solid. And Native Son as like a cafe, like what do people like, and quicker on the go to capture that like lunch crowd.
Yeah.
It's sandwiches and how do we make ours like really good, and it's making all of our sourdough in house, or it's making everything in house instead of getting like. Where one restaurant, after doing like some comp set analysis of like restaurants downtown, I can tell like you're getting pre-bought stuff in. You're getting pre-bought like shredded cheese in or something. So it's like we're doing it all in house. We're doing it from scratch, and we're relying on super little pre-made stuff to get it done. And then one of the most things that we honestly do, like one of the very few things we get pre-made, is just mayonnaise. We go through so much damn mayonnaise where we can't keep up.
Really?
Otherwise, it's like nacho cheese. Like we're making it ourselves.
What is mayonnaise though? Like, how do you make mayonnaise?
Do you like mayonnaise?
I enjoy aioli, like mayonnaise flavored mayonnaises, right? Or no?
Like regular mayonnaise?
I like regular mayonnaise.
You like regular mayonnaise?
Not myself, but I mean, I put it on.
Like or like sandwich.
I hate mayonnaise. I hate it. I hate that. But it's
But it complements stuff well, right? Is that what the whole thing?
It does. I just have like it's more like a trauma thing. I had like my brother used to literally just like suck.
See, I don't like. Okay, it's like I don't like mayonnaise like that. Like
And
I like it complimenting on a sandwich. You know, I like mayonnaise mustard. You know what I mean? Like,
See, you're a normal person.
yeah.
That stuff was just
Your
it was,
your
like,
brother
horrifying to
traumatized
watch.
you?
I have like this music playing in my head while he's just like slurping on them. Like
I've seen people like eat like a fucking spoonful of mayonnaise, or like I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
What the
I saw
is going on?
in Denmark, and it's normal to them, right? Instead of ketchup, it's mayonnaise with the fries. And I was like, what are you doing with that? And it blew me away. And I was like, okay. So I dipped it, and I was like, okay, your stuff tastes better because I'm used to kind of like this sour, funky stuff.
Yeah,
but it's just
American.
eggs. It's eggs, oil, and a little bit of like a binding agent or like mustard powder.
Oh, okay, really?
like-
That's all it is?
Yep, that's all that's in it.
Yeah. And then
Disgusting.
what's ranch again? I'm sorry. I'm just like
You're like now talk to me about
sorry.
this,
I'm not
the
asking you
famous
the
sauce
basic.
that goes by the name of Tapatio. Ranch.
Well, no,
is-
because I remember people in my kitchen that we would make ranch. They would make blue cheese. They would make all this stuff. But I was never like, I'm never like in the kitchen making stuff. You know what I mean? So I was always like, whoa, sorry, what is it?
Buttermilk, sour cream, and mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's a super. Yeah, I
And
knew it's like
so
super.
much mayonnaise.
Really?
So much
Isn't a whole bunch of dipping sauces all like a lot of mayonnaise?
Yeah, like mayonnaise base.
It's like the
but
base of it, or
ranch is like king. Like at Mainzer, we go through so much ranch. Where I was, I was like, and you sell ranch in every restaurant. Like I've sold ranch at like whatever places, but there's something about Merced, and even my sushis that have come and moved here, just like
There's so many-
they've all brought it up separately. They're just like. We
We
put it in
sell
our
so
put it in our
much
chef's
ranch.
logs, right? It was just like, chef, Everything was great tonight. We did this many covers. Blah 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 blah. We also made 14. I'm not kidding you. We made 14 quarts of ranch. Which, if you don't know what a 14 quart looks like, it's like this. It's this
it's the
much
big
ranch.
one. Yeah.
It's gone.
Oh yeah. That makes sense, dude. At our restaurant, we'd have one of those and go through like one of the. It's basically like a fucking huge gallon bucket, right? How many? It's like multiple gallons. But we'd go through that in one day easily.
Yeah.
And
but this was just for like dinners. We didn't have lunches open. It was just dinner service, and it wasn't going to like 400 people, and the number of people didn't make sense for it. And I was like, are they drinking it? He was like, I don't think you understand. Everyone's ordering like a bunch of sides of it, and I was like, we need to start charging for this because I'm like, I am losing money on ranch. So when we started, so I'm just like, I think it was just like just $1, right? Your first one is fine, but if you're getting like 10 sides of ranch, which people do, it was like just pay $1.
Yeah.
Pay $1.
Pay some.
And the servers would be like, "Is it gonna be $1 upcharge?" And I'd be like, "That's fine," and just give it to us. So that was something super interesting. It's just like a compliment, right?
I wonder why that is.
We're making good ranch, but damn, I've never seen that in my career, and it's good to see the horrific faces on my sous chefs when they're like, like we have the beer wall at Mainzer. They have all on their own suggested. I don't know if we should put like a ranch wall. But I feel like that would be very successful.
Would you just put your card in like a tick or two, like?
Yeah, it's good, nice and good, nice and sour.
That's so funny that you said like I don't know what it is with the area, but everybody fucking loves ranch.
It's a compliment. Like, they love it. I'm like, all right, great, thank you so much. It was disturbing at first.
Yeah, you're like, what? Like, you're like, we don't have that much stuff that goes with it. You're like, no, they put on everything. It doesn't matter what it is that they put it on.
Everything.
That's so funny. I like the chicken sandwich though from Mainzer a lot. I like the blue cheese on the chicken sandwich.
Everyone does. I love that sandwich.
And like I like grown accustomed to like blue cheese because like, when you're growing up, you're like blue cheese is fucking now
Yeah,
like you know
horrible.
what I mean. Like,
and now you grow up here. I'm like I have class.
Yeah. I'm aged.
I have a fantastic taste now.
Yeah, exactly. But then, dude, when I used to work at the restaurant, I hated though when you'd have to refill the blue cheese, and the blue cheese had been sitting there with the fucking lid on it, and then I remember opening it up, and I was like, "Is this like? Are we allowed to serve this to like customers? Is this still good?"
So, like,
and they're like, "No, this is how blue cheese smells," and I was like, are you guys sure? Like, this is fucking disgusting. Like, yeah, because it's been like the lid's on it and it's just fucking all
it's sweating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, this cheese is sweating. Like cheese salt and cheese milk. It's disgusting. And it's so good.
It is good.
So good. I'm like, this smells. I'll put it on chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
And I put it. I remember making that sandwich, and it's just a Nashville sauce. Like that's the only reason why it's so good. It's like real, authentic Nashville sauce.
Yeah.
So it's butter, oil, and then super seasoning. You just dip it in there until it's bright red, and it like the chicken looks pissed off.
Yeah.
And I just put a bunch of blue cheese on it, and I made it for all the cooks, and they had it, and they were like, "Ugh." Like just so happy with it. And every single day it was like for lunch, they all wanted it, and they were just like, it's just the blue cheese. Like
I really enjoy it. And so what were we talking about? I think we were talking about so the differences of the restaurants.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. So we got off topic on that ranch. Really, that ranch really put us.
Ranch took us off.
So like you're saying that one's more of a classic, type of dinner type place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where El Capitan's a little more on the go. What can you make that tastes good, that's quicker, that you can serve to people? And then with Rainbird, this is kind of like your cup of tea of like what I would imagine chefs would like to do and create. You're creating how many courses is the dinner?
It's a 5-course tasting menu.
A 5-course tasting menu, right? And basically the way it's kind of laid out, I mean, you can kind of explain it, but from what I understand, it's like you have your like starter, it goes from like the beginning to the end, and you can kind of choose of one of 3 items type of deal, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're creating these things, you know what I mean? How are you coming up? Like, I mean, you've been around the kitchen for a while, but like, pull up the menu for Rainbird. For dinner. Yeah, because there's so many things like, or even on brunch, you know what I mean? When I'm looking at it, I'm like, I have no idea what this ingredient is. Like, I have no idea what this is. Like, what is it? A scallop is like a fancy potato. Is that what it is? Onion, right? A fancy onion. I mean, it's like an onion, right? Or is that shallot? See, I don't fucking know. But
yeah, we went.
But pull it up. I think it's frozen. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's just go through it. So, what is a lingonberry jam? Like, what is that?
It's a wild berry that we get from foragers that harvest them off like the coast.
Okay.
So we get those in, and then we sort of rinse them. We treat them,
And you make it yourself.
Yeah.
The jam.
Oh, everything in Rainbird is made in there. There's nothing pre-bought. It's all made from scratch.
That's sick. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then like this one, the very first one. How do you say that first one?
Macaroon.
No. Oh, but the above that.
Oh, the amuse-bouche.
Amuse-bouche.
So that's like kind of after you order your meal and everything. This is like your little starter. Your little it's like finger food.
Okay, gotcha.
To kind of get the meal going.
Okay, gotcha.
And some places will do that with like a quick. Think about like if you go to an Italian restaurant, it's like bread and olive oil. And
Yeah, gotcha.
That's kind of like what it is. Something to hold you off until the next thing comes.
Okay, gotcha.
So ours is kind of like just like a.
And what's shiso? What is shiso?
It's like a little. It's a Japanese herb.
Oh, okay.
It's super apparent. If you go to like a really nice Japanese restaurant with your nigiri, they'll give you like big leaves.
Oh,
of shiso.
okay. Yeah, gotcha.
That's what it is.
Oh, okay. And so, how do you? Is it just so when you're creating the menu? You know, sorry. When you're creating the menu, is it just like you have like these ideas of maybe this will take like or like these are all you created, right? And so what is like the trial and error process when you're creating something? You know what I mean? Are you like making something and you're like, that's almost there, not quite. How do I make this better?
Once I go through like the process where I conceive a dish and I start cooking it, most of the time, we're really lucky that the first go around, I'm like, this is pretty much right there.
Yeah.
When it doesn't come down to that, when I'm like, I can't nail it, or I know that there's something, or I know what the answer is, I'll have all my cooks taste it. Like, or the cook that's going to be cooking it, I'm like, taste this with me. Kind of see what I'm doing, plate it up with me, taste each ingredient on its own, and then let's taste it, the whole thing together. And they'll taste it and be like, that's like dope. And I'm like, cool.
Cool, there's that one.
That's great. It's not there yet. Like, what is missing? Oh, that's just so dope, dog. I'm like, it's not. Like, there's something missing. What is it? Like, focus on it. And it's coming to it together. It's like, I think it maybe needs a little bit of hit of more acid. How are we going to do that? Are we going to add like maybe some burnt strawberry vinegar? Are we going to add umeboshi? Are we going to add like yuzu kosho? How are we going to add that?
Stop real quick. What are those last two things you just said to me?
Have you dined at Rainbird?
I've only had the brunch. Sorry.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
The brunch is so fucking good.
Okay, dope.
Well, the thing is, like, I will eat shit. I just don't know what the fuck it is. You know what I mean? And like, when I'm there, it's like I'm not gonna remember this. But like now that you're in front of me, I'm like, hey, I can actually ask you. I'm not gonna like do it when I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like those two things that you just said.
Well, umeboshi, so we'll take plums, and then we basically ferment them over a matter of years. I was working on this at Blue Note Napa before the pandemic happened, and it got stuck there, and now it's disposed of. But that was a batch going on for about 2 years. But we take them, and then we rinse them in a little bit of a Japanese whiskey. We toss them with a certain percentage of salt. And then once they release their liquid for a few days, we take them out and we let them dry it out in the sun, and we flip them twice every single day. After that happens for a week and the plums are dried, we put them back in the juice that it was released from. And over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, the flavor that you get from it is just insane. It's like salty and acidic and very briny, and it adds this complex level of flavor that you literally can't make up.
And how do you make sure that like you still have the inventory of the, you know what I mean? Like, because it's like you're saying it takes like 2 years or whatever. Can you like buy it?
There are,
you know what I mean? Or
there are some purveyors that will like buy it already made, but at that point you're kind of getting the same flavor that now thousands of other restaurants.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't want that, right? You kind of want that natural yeast that like there's some plums in this area. I don't know if you guys know that, but you'll be driving by and there's like trees, super red trees that have like, they look like cherries now, but they're plums. There's one right outside my house. I didn't even know it was there until like it literally like dropped on my head. I ate it and I was like, that's a plum.
Yeah,
I was so like stoked on it. But you take those and they're all going to taste different in wherever they're growing. But you kind of want that natural yeast and everything you're getting from it, and that's that own flavor. And the umeboshi I made in Napa versus the umeboshi I'm going to make here at Merced are going to be two totally different flavor profiles.
And is it like, so let's say you do the dry it and then you put it back in the container, right? Do you just let it stay sealed for 2 years? Is that kind of the idea of it?
You'll let it stay sealed, and then I'll taste it like every 6 months.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And then you can kind of
gauge like it's good. We're good to go, and then it's whatever I want to do with it at that point. However I want to season things with, or just cook it on its own. It's a whole bunch of things to do.
Man, that's just blowing my mind. Let's just go down this freaking list so I can ask a million more questions with you. All right, what's this next thing? Japanese amberjack crudo. What is that? I know it's right there, but I want to hear the chef's description of it, Duffy.
It's
I'm not gonna read that far.
do you like raw fish?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah,
It's raw fish.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we take hamachi, and
gotcha.
we break it down, break out the collar, skin it, and then we brine it, and then we'll pat it dry, and then we'll make a cure from citrus, some a little bit of coriander, some peppers, and a little bit of fresh pine needles.
Oh,
And we
really?
just coat the fish in that, and we let that cure for about 4 hours. And at that point, it's extracting a little bit of the moisture from the fish. It's helping out the texture of the flesh, and it's imparting some of those super light flavors into the outer layer of the fish. So you're getting like layer upon layer upon layer inside of just this little piece of fish.
That's cool. And then I had the courtyard it was ceviche, but it kind of just, I don't know, the way you're describing kind of reminds me of it, because it was like the raw fish just in some type of like sauce basically, right? And that shit was hella good. I was just like, oh man, this is good. Also, the fucking bone marrow that you guys had. That shit was so good. Like I was like, it's not on the menu anymore, right?
No, it's
but
not.
that was so like that. The bone marrow on the bread.
I love bone marrow.
I never had it until there, and I was like, yeah, that's why, and that's what I was saying, like how you're bringing these things to Merced that like you know people might never have had, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that bone marrow was so good because it was like I've like never saw it or to order it anywhere I've been, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, bone marrow. I was like, I wonder what that tastes like, and it just like was like tasted like garlic and. I don't know what it was.
It's like meat butter.
Yeah, exactly.
Super
That's what
good.
yeah. And it's crazy because, and what type of bones do you look for if you're like doing bone marrow?
Those are beef bones.
Is there beef bones?
Yeah.
Any specific part of it? Like just.
We'll get them like canoe split. We'll just ask for like the biggest bones that you guys have. So
Yeah,
kind of get the most marrow out of it.
marrow out of it. Yeah.
What about you guys? When you guys go out and about to eat, where are you eating at?
I like a variety of places, but I mean, I'm trying to think, like in general, just random places. I mean, I love fucking Mexican food, so
Everyone does.
yeah, exactly. So any taco truck, I enjoy. I feel like I enjoy taco trucks more than I enjoy like Mexican restaurants, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just like I know that I don't know why they're just so good, but I like Danny's Tacos. Honestly, they're like there's one.
Been there.
There's one over by what is that? It's like a Circle or 76. It's right across the street from In Shape. There's one at a gas station right there called Danny's Tacos. I like that place a lot. Thai Cuisine 2. Have you been to Thai Cuisine 2?
No.
So that's over by the Promenade in Yosemite, like
I know where that is.
off Yosemite right there.
Yeah.
Thai Cuisine 2 is really good Thai food. And I love any type of Thai food, whether it's Bangkok or, I mean, there's multiple other ones. But I love Thai food. Any type of Thai food's delicious to me. I'm trying to think, what else do I like? I actually, someone on Reddit was just like, I'm moving to Merced. Any restaurants you can recommend? And I was just like naming them, but I can't think of any right now. I mean, honestly, I go to Mainzer and El Cap a lot.
Italian, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Bella Luna. You ever go to Bella Luna?
I like Bella Luna.
Yeah, I like Bella Luna too. I feel like it seems like they have a little more fresh ingredients. It just feels like I'm eating real Italian food when I go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you go to a place and you're like, I don't know, like
Yeah, everything has like just cream in every ingredient.
yeah.
They dunk the calamari in just cream. You're like,
Yeah. Like I like to think that you guys were trying to cook something, not just like, all right, let's put the sauce on it. Yeah, exactly. Is there any like chefs that you look up to? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think there always is. For like pioneers and how they treat kitchens or how they are themselves, like Klaus Henriksen in Denmark. He was like one of the very first chefs that showed me like peace in the kitchen. So he was we'd start work, and then everyone would work for an hour and start morning production, and they'd go out and we'd have a little like 15-minute break, and we'd be eating pastries and we'd be eating like croissants, coffee, and everyone would be smoking their cigarettes all together on the balcony of the castle and just all be chilling. So you're already like, okay, you're cooling down from an already super busy production. Let's calm down. You're going into lunch service, you do lunch, and then right after lunch, they close off the restaurant for like 15 minutes at least. all the crew, including front of house, goes to sit down together and they eat. They bring a crate of sodas every single lunch. And you're popping one off, and it's always the apricot soda that everyone loved.
Really?
And it's just they layer out the dining table with a whole bunch of food, and everyone's like talking. It's a true family meal.
Yeah.
And so you're doing that, and you're enjoying it, and chef is always leading it. And he's like, no matter how busy it is, we would have like railroad tickets. He would be like one of the cooks. He'd be like, start working like the lunch food. Be like, chef is busy. Like, start working the lunch food. Like, it's super important to him.
Yeah.
We made it, and at the end of the day, it was always like, we're always going to have time to eat together. It might be a little bit later, but we're always going to eat together.
That's
so let's just make sure
cool.
we're always working it. And then same thing for dinner. Right before dinner service, everyone sat down and we had dinner. Every single day. So no matter how stressed you were, there was always moments to decompress, calm down. Even if you didn't want to eat, just like breathe. Everything's going to be okay. We're literally all in this together. Clink your bottles, and then we go back in.
Was that chef's mentality a little different than like the other people's?
Incredibly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is that kind of like how what you like to like? Okay, I want to kind of have that same type of mannerisms, or not mannerisms, but like be the
ethic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Like if I could have full control over it, like I would do that for all my kitchens. Sometimes it's just not realistic.
Yeah, exactly,
Like,
exactly.
You just can't.
I feel
so-
like people are like in like European countries. It's like you guys just have a different way of life, okay? Like,
Yeah.
I would go visit I went to visit my cousin in Portugal, and it's like they're not eating dinner until fucking 9:30 at night. I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, I need to eat, you guys. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you know what I mean? But it's like it just seems like, and then or it just seems like no one's like in a rush over there. It's like it's
not at all.
carefree. Like we're gonna take a nap at 4 p.m. Okay, just chill. Yeah, exactly. And then he'd be like, we're gonna go out tonight. I'm like, well, it's already like 9 o'clock, and he's like, oh, we're not gonna go out till like 11. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to go to sleep.
Yeah, like, no, we're gonna party at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. He said we'll probably go to disco like a 1 or 2. Like 1 or 2 get there. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, it sounds like a task. But that's like normal to them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh my gosh. And but so where else have you traveled and like had food at like like other places like throughout the world?
Yeah. So
You know what I
while
mean?
was
I'm
in-
sure like you have like had some bucket list items or some things that you're like, I want to go try this.
Yeah, I've eaten a lot of like places I've wanted to go eat at. Most recently, I've eaten at Single Thread up in Healdsburg. It's a 3 Michelin Star restaurant, and I think this year they got they were placed on the world's best restaurant list, top 50, and they're number 36. Their first time being on the list, which is huge.
Yeah.
And that's been on my bucket list for a while. So I finally got the opportunity to dine there, and that was just awesome. Like to get super awesome service, to see the little touches, to see the food that they're doing, to see some of the things that are just like, hey, I'm doing this, right?
Yeah.
Things where I'm like, I don't know how
Especially
they're
to
doing
you,
that.
because that's like it's like your passion. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like cool to go see other people do what you're passionate about, and like, oh, I never thought about doing that, or like,
Exactly.
oh, that's very interesting. And then like each place you're going to, you can probably like, well, let me see if I can, make my own twist on this or do whatever. You know what I mean?
Always learning. And like I learned that while I was working for one of the chefs was they all learn from like the chefs that surround them. And there was one famous dish of like cabbage that was on Netflix. I won't go much into it, but I saw the chef that I was working for. He had like a dish of cabbage where it was like he used the cabbage as a serving vessel, and it was like a cool like cabbage poached cod in there. But I saw like kind of the inspiration and where it came from, and I was like, that's pretty dope. How like they'll make these really cool dishes out of like one ingredient, similar but just enough to know that it's like this is your style and this is your style. So it's super hard nowadays for restaurants to be completely 100% original.
Yeah.
Almost impossible.
Well, honestly, it's like one of those. I forget. There's some quote, but it's like it was something about like everybody wants to like be an original, but like it's so hard to be like an original now in the sense of that like so many things have been done. So whether that's like you're saying like cooking, I mean, cooking's been around for fucking ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Literally
never gonna
forever. Yeah, you know what I mean? Or if it's photography, videography, it's like everyone's creation is like an interpreted creation of something else. You know what I mean? And so. Like with photography, videography, it's so easy to people always are like, maybe I'll like some people are like, oh, you're copying that person. It's like, no, maybe that person's just inspired by that person and trying to do their own twist on it or whatever. And that's the thing that I see with like all art forms. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that might remind you of somebody else's art form, or that might remind you of this, but it's like it's still that own person's like, like for art form.
Yes.
And I think cooking is such an interesting art form because like you were saying, it's like you're creating these dishes and then like you probably like get satisfied when other people, like, hey, can you like send my compliments to the chef
Yeah.
whatever it may be, you know what I mean? Or can I talk to the chef or whatever? And have you, I just thought about this right now, but have you ever had like, the worst fucking customer, you know what I mean? Like some like, you know what I mean? It's like, can I talk to the chef? And it's just like,
In my career, I've had
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Definitely.
In your career, like, you know what I mean? Like,
You've
just
had that, and there's people that are just, abhorrently rude.
yeah.
It's like, let me, come out here.
Entitled, yeah.
This is garbage.
Okay, yeah, it's like, did you just need to make me feel
Yeah,
bad?
did you, all right, fine. Like, that's how you act. Like, you must be fun at parties. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's stuff like that. Like, you just have to deal with it, right? But there's people that like respond in the wrong way, where it's like they'll get violent towards the guests and everything. It's just don't feed them. Just say, all right, thanks. Kill them with kindness. That's totally fine. I appreciate all the insight and the feedback.
Yeah,
Thank you
exactly.
so
That's
much.
all you can do. Yeah.
I even had some people like with Rainbird come in and just try to just in my Instagram messages like tear me apart. Like, I'm like, man, you really sat down and typed that out.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
the response
yeah.
to them is just super calm, collected.
It's like you almost have to.
We don't
yeah.
try to be like something that we're not. We're all learning. We're the first of our kind in this area. We never claim to be perfect. And thanks for trying us. Your feedback's always appreciated.
Yeah.
And one of them.
You
was
like kill
great.
him with kindness. Kill him back.
He
yeah.
left like a 2-star review on us. He was tearing apart the entire team.
Yeah.
Service, the manager, like the director, kitchen, everything.
Yeah.
And saying this like this restaurant is cute because it's in Merced, and this guy was like from some big city, and it was already like, okay, you're kind of starting off very pompous.
Yeah.
Right. So I took that with a grain of salt. Some of the team members were offended. I was like, just calm down. And that's when the guy messaged me later, sent the kindness back to him. Appreciate it always. Thank you so much. And hopefully you come back and experience us again. He read it. And then about 40 minutes later, the reviews were gone on everything that he posted on. He took his stuff back.
Because normally people don't respond like that. Though.
Yeah,
You know
I was
what I
like,
mean?
Wow, that's like, cause I was just, okay, it's going to stay on there forever, but I'm not going to let it bother me.
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly. It is what it is.
So
Yeah.
some people like, I think it's sometimes like a reality check. And that's what I like about having a restaurant like this in Merced is if we open this up in San Francisco, LA, or Napa or Healdsburg,
Yeah.
people expect it to be at a certain level, and they expect it to be kind of like what we're trying to do.
Uh-huh.
It's normal to them. But we're opening up a restaurant like this or operation like this in Merced where people are like, this is an experience and a destination, and to get this, we have to go to the city.
Yeah.
We have to go somewhere else. So the people more often than not are excited, and they're just grateful. They're just like,
This is
awesome
cool.
to have this
yeah,
here."
like I've never done anything like this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was trying to say. Like it's just like it's so cool to see something like that in Merced. And like people always like they're like and I've had friends who went and they're like, it's cool. Like I don't really know, like you know what I mean? It's like the first time ever having any type of experience like that. And it's kind of cool to see that in a town that's been like it's like you're saying, we've have like very generic food. You know what I mean? So it's cool to see something come in and like yeah, it might be a little expensive, but you're having a literally 5-course meal with including dessert. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where I'm like, yeah, like it's expensive, but you're not gonna go out every night and have this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more of like, hey, let's go treat ourselves. Let's go do
experience.
something with an experience. It's not, yeah. And it is interesting, like it's and most of the dishes on Rainbird's menu, right? It's more of like you need to have all the ingredients in the bite, like to get the full flavor of the dish, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's really like it's really playful. Like you experience it however you want to. Some of the dishes we form to where it's like you have to have it in every spoonful, and others it's like with the duck, try just as white asparagus on its own that's grilled in pine because the white asparagus takes us almost like a day to prepare. Same thing with like the duck that takes us 2 days or however long, and it's like
And then you guys have squab too, right?
we did have a squab.
Oh, you did?
Move
Okay,
that
gotcha.
to duck.
Oh, okay, gotcha. The squab's pigeon, right?
Young pigeon.
Young pigeon. Okay, and so like, where do you get these? Where you just order these pigeons? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
we just go
order-
outside.
Yeah,
Just
we
kidding.
go outside, we smash their heads, and extract their brains. No, it's we'll order them in from either purveyors or small purveyors, but they already come in like plucked and everything.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I'll ask for them with like everything inside of them to see if I can make like a sauce from all of like the insides or
Oh,
something to make
really?
it like super rich.
And so, like, yeah, I don't know. It's so wild. It's so wild to me because, like, you probably take ingredients that, like, one I've never heard of. Obviously, I was like, fucking being like, hey, bro, what the fuck is this? But ingredients I've never heard of, and ingredients that, so you use the inside of the pigeon to make some type of sauce,
Yeah,
and so like
it's delicious.
Yeah, and so you're using like all the insides of it, or
a majority of it. So like just like the gizzards or the bones inside. Sometimes they'll have the heart or like the actual.
and they're
like,
adding
liver.
other flavors and things to
Yeah,
like
so,
mix
like,
it up. And
the trimmings of like the actual bird, and we'll take like the leftover fats, and sometimes I try to season things like with themselves. So if it's making a sauce from like the bones of the animal and like the trim that other restaurants will just throw out, we'll make them. And if we have so much trim to where like I can only make so much sauce, I make garums out of it. So these garums will left to be sit with some Japanese koji for about 3 months and just cooking for 3 months straight. And at that point, I have a super deep, rich umami sauce that I add a couple drops of to the meat, and it's like seasoning with itself. And then I'll take the leftover fat from the animal and I'll brush the fat on itself again to get like more and more flavors of itself. So when you taste it, you're like, oh my god, like this is really rich. This is really intense.
what's like the oldest ingredient? Like, you know what I'm saying? So you're like talking about the plums for like fermenting for like 2 years and stuff like that. What's like the oldest ingredients that you've cooked with like in a kitchen? You know what I mean? Because like there are other things like that where you just sit for a while.
The oldest ingredient I've cooked with in the kitchen was probably 100-year balsamic.
Wow.
Like an actual drop cost a lot of money, but you only need like 2 to 3 drops.
And it's super strong, huh?
It's just incredible. It's super strong. But that was super cool. Also, the oddest ingredient I've ever had, of course it was in Denmark, was fermented whale fat.
Oh, really? Well, that's big there, right? I mean, don't they?
I didn't know if it was big there. I didn't even research it. I didn't know you could have that. I was like, I thought it was illegal.
Yeah.
On the mainland, I'm like, this is wrong. But I had it, right? And it was like shaved like prosciutto. I had it, and it melted on my mouth. And I'm like, this is awful. This is disgusting. And they're like, now try this. So they gave me beer, and they was like, have another piece. And I'm like, this just tastes rancid and sour. Took another piece and had a little swig of beer, and I'm like, now that's the most creamiest, butteriest, richest thing I've tasted.
Really?
And just the pairing of it was absolutely insane. So besides fermented whale fat, I don't know how long that was there. There was
Damn.
the most delectable beef penis I've ever had, and that was chef's kiss. I'm not going to serve that
Now at
Rainbird.
Rainbird.
The mystery meat course. No, that one when it was the chef was super into like vegetables and very little meat as possible.
And penis. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that was apparently what he liked. So he made a dish with that, and he literally made the most fanciest penis burrito that you could ever have. And it was like he took these wild.
I love dick burritos.
I love them. Oh, I could go to Del Taco right now and order me one of those. Be a very different one. But he took like these wild leaves that were like this big. He blanched them that were growing out in like fields in the garden, and he cooked that ingredient in a really delicious way where you wouldn't know what it was, and he grinded it down and he rolled it up in these wild garlic leaves, and it presented as the beef course. You dig into it and you eat it, and it's like everyone was like, "This is delicious." And it's so savory and it's rich. And this sneaky man. The first time I ever had it, he like gave it to me. He's like, "What do you think of this?" I'm like, "That is like." I'm like, "Is that like there was oxtail in it?" So he's like, "Oh, there's some oxtail in that." He wasn't lying to me. I'm like, "That's really good." That's real. I'm like, I haven't his oxtail like that before. I'm like, "That's really rich." He was like, "There's penis in that," and he just walked away. I'm like, so the way that they would describe it to the guests is like they would just say that there's a little bit of braised oxtail and a little bit of like offal in there. And if guests wanted the details, it's penis. But it was always they were just like, "That's delicious." And it's the weirdest thing ever where it's like, you want to know after you eat it what it is.
But you don't want to know while you're eating it.
Yeah, because then after you eat that dinner, you walk away, you go home, and you wake up in the middle of the night, like at 2 a.m., and you're kind of sweating. You're like, I just ate dick.
Yeah, like maybe that's why.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm sweating. But no.
I didn't know I was gay. I'm just kidding.
I know, I was capable of that. But
I just sucked a dick. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, simple as that.
That's fucking wild. Well, speaking of beef, though, so what is do you deal with any like dry aged beef? Because people sometimes will they'll just like let beef get like a thick ass crust on it, and then it's just like they dried for like 3 months, like in a place. Have you ever messed around with cooking any of that or no?
Yeah. Absolutely. I try to dry age as much things as I can. Unfortunately, I don't have as much storage as I want to be able to do dry age.
Because you need a lot of room
for that to have it constantly going. So I can't do dry aged meats and everything. So right now I can dry age some poultry. It doesn't take as much room. I can
really. So you dry age some poultry, and so what is that? So So it kind of like oxidizes the outside of the beef when it happens. You know what I mean? It gets like a crust, right? So I understand like a big piece of meat and getting a crust, but like a piece of chicken, or are you doing a whole chicken?
It'd be like whole chicken.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And so does it get some similar type of crust around that?
It
or
takes away the moisture of the chicken, so at least from like the skin. So when you actually go to cook it or you go to roast it, the skin looks like glass, where it's like completely see-through. And then when you roast it, after you're brining everything, you go to roast it, and it's like you get like this crunchiest skin ever, and like a super juicy chicken, just from like taking an extra like 3 to 4 days of just letting it hang and then cool off and letting that moisture leave.
And so only like you don't believe, so that one for chicken, you don't let it like age that long, or do
No, you don't want to age that for like a year.
Yeah.
like
I'm saying
a
some
couple
beef
months.
I see like people like, oh, it's been here for a year. You know what I mean, hanging up or whatever.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I was just curious. Yeah. And then what other type of like meats that are like, I don't know, you're talking about. What other type of meats are like interesting? I'm trying to think because like there's a dry age. There's like you did the chicken. I'm trying to think like fish wise. What's your preference? Like what do you like to cook with for fish or eat raw?
That doesn't
Depends.
Yeah. There's no like defined fish that I'm a super like I'll just stick with. Everyone loves salmon, but it's I'm really into like black cod right now. Chilean sea bass is awesome. I love hamachi. I love Japanese fish, horse mackerel, and octopus. Octopus is super, super delicious if you cook it right.
Oh, so is calamari just squid or is it squid and octopus?
Squid.
Just squid? And so both the little babies and the tentacles, you know what I'm talking about? Because you order calamari and it's like, I'm eating little baby squids, basically. You know what I mean?
It's so good.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Is that, and then, so calamari is never octopus?
No, not unless you order like deep fried octopus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I really had too much octopus then, because I always just assume. Well, like,
if you get it at like maybe not a nice restaurant, you'll get something that's like super chewy because they'll just boil the hell out of it, and it's not good. But if you get it done right, like it's super tender, it's kind of has like a slight steak chew to it, and it's got such a unique flavor to it. It's really, really awesome. Like it's excellent, and like I love cooking octopus with chorizo.
Really?
Like, it works.
Really?
Yeah, right. Like look at
that sounds good. I love chorizo. Yeah, that's why I was like, that sounds hella good. And so, what are you doing? So what does that dish kind of like look like if you're doing octopus and chorizo together?
I did a little dish of that, and it's just, I mean, it's super simple. There's variations of it, but mostly deriving from Spain. It's just super slow braised octopus, kind of cooked in Kalamata olive oil juices. And then after you do that, you marinate it with some Spanish olive oil, thyme, and then smoked paprika. And you grill it super hard over like Japanese white oak or some charcoal. And then you get like a little bit of a crust on it. It starts to get that nice smoky flavor, and you smoke it over red wine braised like wood chips. So it's getting a lot of flavor. And then you cook down some chorizo, and you're making a sauce from the actual chorizo, and it's fat, and you're dressing the octopus leg with its own fat, and you're serving that up with some really beautifully cooked like fingerling potatoes and maybe some Castle Sorno olives and some Sicilian pistachios, and it's just it's money.
I love like when you just like name all these foods. I like.
You're like,
you just
what is
like
that?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. You're talking a different language to me, but that sounds so good.
Let's talk about top ramen. Because when I go home and eat for myself, I'm gonna be very honest. It's like,
is it like
everyone's just like,
you kind of over?
Do you cook like potatoes fondant, or do you cook like filet mignon, or like bone marrow? I'm like, I straight up like eat like Cheez-Its. Hostess donuts. If I'm not like on a diet or working out, I'll eat salads, and then top ramen, man. Like I will always love
top ramen,
instant ramen.
Yeah, dude, instant ramen's so good. Do you do up your ramen ever though? Like,
like
you do it up a little bit.
I'll have further.
So here we go to like the average person at home. You know what I mean? You got some top ramen. If you want to just make that top ramen, you know, just a little bit better, what would you recommend?
If you want to make that top ramen a little bit better,
it's my favorite question so far.
You'll do quail eggs. Quail eggs instead of just a regular egg. Like get some really nice like poached quail eggs.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
Little spoonful of loveliness, and then I get furikake rice seasoning and some togarashi in there just to put on top. This is not making my own ramen broth. This is just like seasoning in a cup. It has to be in a cup, or it's gonna taste like garbage. It needs to be in the cup. Key point. And then a little bit of I do some extra smoked shoyu. So I'll have like smoked shoyu in my pantry, and that's just like samples I've gotten in from purveyors. So I have a white cherry blossom smoked shoyu. I'll put that in there, and that's just like that super nice umami and saltiness that adds onto it. And then I'll drop in some regular spicy sesame oil, and it's just great. Whatever meat trimmings I have from the restaurant that are like cooked off, pieces that are going to go in the trash, I might take those home if I'm feeling like a dirtbag.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm going to have like this at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
I'll drop that in there. But those are like the quick ones. I'm like, any little bowl of instant ramen, I'll put those things in there, and it's like great.
Dude, that's cool.
Always money.
No, that's good. That's good. Because my cousin is the one who taught me. Because I would just always eat top ramen just like normal, and then like one day he was just like, oh no, I do mine up a little bit, and he like adds some eggs to it, and just like just like normal ramen stuff. You know what I mean? I was like, oh wow, this is fucking a lot better than just
it's dope. It's not that hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's really not.
Yeah, a dash here, a dash there, you're good to go. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, hey, Quentin, I appreciate you being here. I had a fucking great conversation. Me and Duffy both were just cracking up this whole fucking time.
Yeah.
But why don't you let people know where they can like follow you at, your social media?
I don't even know my social media name.
Quentin Garcia.
It's like, I think it's qreecegarcia if you want to. I'm not that exciting, but feel free to.
Feel free to follow you. And if you want to taste your delicious food, Rainbird or any of the Rainbird, El Cap, Native Son. Is that it?
Anything at El Cap or Mainzer?
Anything at El Cap, Mainzer, yeah. Quentin, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. And we'll have to do this again.
Thank you, guys.
This is it. Real talk and whatnot.